We're joined by Dr. Paul Young, who is an Associate Professor in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. Lovely to see you, Doctor. We're also joined this afternoon by Jessica Sutherland, who is a Patient Research Advisory Board Member at the University of British Columbia. Lovely to see you, Jessica.
Thank you for having us.
Let's talk about your presentation, a photo voice exploration of East, South and Southeast Asian women's experiences of endometriosis during COVID-19. Now, why this particular period of time?
So this time is actually quite important, specifically in relation to East, South and Southeast Asian people. There was a lot of anti-Asian racism and discrimination that was going on during this time period. And as well, a lot of the research didn't look at any of the impacts on non-white participants, non-white people. So they were really excluded from a large chunk of this research, or underrepresented at least.
And what has this research, I suppose, brought to light?
First of all, the medical inequities we already knew about, but the distinct nuances. Something that we were very surprised about was the positives of COVID-19. For example, people had time to learn about their bodies, to learn about their condition, as well to plan and to just engage in self-care.
We had also published previously that people of Asian descent at our clinic and our associated registry had presented kind of differently in terms of their symptoms and their types of endometriosis. And so we saw that they were answering some of the questionnaires differently. So we wanted to see there's an alternative way that people of that ancestry could communicate, and thought maybe arts-based research was a way that we could gain more information beyond just a questionnaire.
Paul, I'll ask you, when we talk about the culturally and linguistically diverse cohort or patients, can you please explain what we're talking about there?
There's aspects of ancestry and ethnicity and race, which all have slight differences. And so for a given patient, I find it's really individual. I've learned to actually not make assumptions based on how people are presenting about any of those three things. And I think has helped me to be, just more humility, and also to be a better listener and not to make assumptions.
In terms of this research during the COVID-19 period too, which was just such a bizarre time in the world, and it's so strange to think that we've all lived through this, but how do you make that research, or how do you apply that research, I suppose, and the learnings to life now?
We were asking people to reflect on specifically things that were happening during the COVID-19 crisis, but someone's life it's on a continuum. You can't just isolate just COVID-19. So you're also talking about things that happened before, because those impact how people are going to be reacting and experiencing what's going on in their lives. And then also it's continuing to now, because you don't just get a brand new person and they start existing right after COVID. There are so many universal similarities between people with endometriosis. As a person with endometriosis, I related to a lot of the experiences that study participants were talking about. But there's others that I didn't, because I didn't have that cultural background. And that's why it's so important to have diverse voices in people that are participating in research, in people who are being engaged in research as patient partners, like I am, and like the group of the Patient Research Advisory Board.
How important is it to have this patient perspective involved in research?
Well, for me, it's part of the broader concept of giving a voice to people, amplifying their voice who perhaps in the past that we aren't hearing from. So that includes patients who are now more and more having their rightful role as being partners and an equal member of the team, but also having research students from different backgrounds. And I see it as like there's all this potential out there that potentially that hasn't been tapped into. So to get all these people and to get that potential actualized, I see as one of my roles.